Click the board sports. Here we go. It's your boy RJ Cash. Click that like, hit subscribe. Breaking down Alabama, Oklahoma here. First game of the CFP Friday night. And we got ourselves a rematch. Now, last time they were in Alabama a few weeks back, Oklahoma got the win 23-21, but Alabama had three crucial turnovers. One of them a pick six to the house, 87 yards. That really put Oklahoma up 10-0. Really kind of sealed their fate at that point. Now, the line opened 1.5. It stayed there. Alabama's laying 1.5 on the road at Oklahoma. 44% ticket count equaling 49% of the money is on Bama. 56% ticket count equaling 51% of the handle is on Oklahoma. Now, your total set very low, and this Oklahoma defense led by Brett Venables is legit. This is the strong point of him. Now, John Mateer, he can do some things at the quarterback position, but Alabama really held him in check the first go around. We'll dive into those stats here in just a second. But the total's 40.5. 64% of ticket count is on the over, but it's only equaling 24% of the handle. It lets me know much more public on the overs. Of course, the public always loves overs. They can't help themselves. And then under 40.5, 36% ticket count, 76% of the handle. Again, this has 21, 17, 20-17, 20-16 written all over it. Obviously, Tyler Simpson of Alabama, he hasn't been playing as well as he played earlier in the year. The past couple of weeks, he's really dived off a little bit here for the Crimson Tide. Now, Bama is 8-3-1 ATS over their last 12 games. They're 10-2 their last 12. Got in the CFP, the loss to Georgia, where Georgia absolutely dominated them. But what I want people to remember is I wouldn't put a lot of stock into that, and here's why. You beat Georgia at Georgia earlier in the year. The SEC championship game's always in Atlanta. I've always felt there's a big advantage. And Alabama's just had this run. Eventually, you got to lose one, which they did to Georgia. And Alabama just didn't play well. Georgia had a lot of emotion. They were hyped up for that game. And so I don't want to put too much stock into that. I know Tyler Simpson was kind of running for his life, and Alabama had some issues running the football. But what I will say is this Alabama team, you got to compare apples to apples here, and 10-2 over the last 12 down the stretch. Now, Oklahoma has had Bama's number. Oklahoma's 4-1 against the spread versus Alabama their last 5 meetings. Oklahoma 4-2 ATS their last 6. Also in their last 6, they're 5-1 straight up. Now, the under is cashed 5 straight games for Alabama. The under is cashed 11 of 13 for Oklahoma. And then head-to-head 4 of the last 5 have went under the total. So when you see that total of 40.5, it really kind of puts things in perspective as to where I know people look at it and say, man, that's a really low number. They think Alabama, they think points. But listen, like I said, we'll get back into it in a second. Looking at that first matchup, you'll kind of see why the under 40.5 is in play here. Now, points per game, home and away. Now, on the road, Bama averaging 24.8 points per game, as to where Oklahoma at home averaging 26.7. So Oklahoma averaging about 2 points more per game here than Alabama. Alabama's defense on the road, they get knocked a lot, but they're ranked 32nd in the country. 23.6 points per game is what Bama gives up. But at home, Oklahoma, 8th best defense in college football, 12.29 points per game. Again, when you look at passing through the air, 221 yards per game is what Bama throws for, as to where at home, Oklahoma throwing for 259 yards per game. But Oklahoma rushes for 110 yards per game at home. Bama, 111. The big thing here, when you look into the handicap here, last 10 games at home, Oklahoma 8-2. Last 10 games on the road for Bama, 8-2. But Bama just 4-6-1 ATS their last 10 on the road. When you look at it again, Oklahoma jumped out. First quarter had a 10-0 lead the first go around against Alabama. Again, that 87-yard touchdown reception. And then Mateer put together a nice drive middle of the second quarter. It was 17-7. But when you look at it, Alabama, they threw the pick six, right? Then they had 3 fumbles, 2 of them they lost. Oklahoma was 3 for 3 from field goals. Bama missed their only field goal attempt, and Bama held the ball 9 minutes longer than Oklahoma. Now, Tyler Simpson, 28 of 42, 326 yards against that vaulted Oklahoma defense. Oklahoma, John Mateer, 15 of 23 for a buck 38 is what he was able to put up there in that matchup. The other thing I would look at is in this game is looking at just who have you played, right? And so I got some questions here. Now, Bama, obviously, South Carolina, they kind of messed around with them, pulled away, but they beat a Tennessee team, beat Vanderbilt, beat Georgia earlier in the year. And I know recency bias. Georgia beat them 28-7. And when you look at Oklahoma, 4 wins in a row at Alabama, 23-21, which again, very impressive. Looking at Tennessee, 33-27. They lost the game to Texas, got rolled 23-6. They lost against Ole Miss by 8. Those were their 2 losses. Outside of that, the schedule wasn't very difficult for Oklahoma to navigate. Now, what I will say is these 2 teams have played each of the last 2 years at Alabama earlier this year, 23-21. We've talked about all the statistics on that. And then last year in Oklahoma, Oklahoma won this game 24-3. I think people forget about that. 24-3 here. So a huge number there. Now, Bama, their team total under, they've cashed that 8 of their last 10 games. That would put you up 5.9 units, 53% ROI. If you've been following that. Oklahoma, maybe something to look at. Money line first half, -105, home team money line. They've hit the money line 10 out of the last 13 games in the first half. If you've been following that, you're up 9.1 units. Game total under, again, we've talked about these under trends. We talked about Oklahoma playing to the under. 11 of the last 13 put you up 8.8 units, a 62% ROI. Bama, 10 of their last 14 under the total, plus 5.6 units, 36% ROI. Oklahoma has hit their team total under 6 of the last 7 games. That would put you up 6 units, 75% ROI. So again, everything here pointing under for this game. Now, one thing I always say don't do is don't play teasers in college football. And that's very correct. They're very profitable in the NFL. If you've been following us, we've been having a great year, minus the Chiefs this past Sunday. But college football playoffs are a little different because the games mean a whole lot more. So you can get away with some of that stuff. So when I look at this game and I dive into it, I'm like, okay, the obvious play here is to take the 7-point teaser, Oklahoma plus 8.5, right? Gets them through 7, gets them through 8, and under 47.5. Again, 27-20. You get there 24-23. You get there 24-21. You get there. So that's going to be my play. Oklahoma plus 8.5 with the under 47.5. I also like the under straight. But if I had to play the game straight, I got to say this. I would lay the $1.15 Alabama on the money line. I just believe in them more than I believe in Oklahoma. I believe they're a better team. Now, again, it's on the road. Oklahoma has won each of the last 2 meetings the past 2 years. And at Oklahoma last year, Oklahoma beat up Alabama. But I think this is a different Alabama team. I think Kalen DeBoer and company will be ready to go. And I think the bye may hurt Oklahoma a little bit here. If you look at last year, CFP, those byes kind of snuck up on people a little bit. So again, my favorite play of this game, 2-team 7-point teaser, minus $1.40. Oklahoma plus 8.5 with under 47.5. RJ Cash, Break the Board Sports, giving you stats, trends, information to help you become a better handicapper. God bless and happy handicapping.